this is real. I'm not saying that this won the election for either side, but this is a different year. Everyone's been telling you, this election is special. This election is different. This was hard to get through, okay? There are things I want to say off the break, but I want to build because I don't want to just give it all away. I have the entire debate. I took 3 pages of notes, okay? So some of you watched it, you went to sleep. Understandable, I get it. Some of you watched a little bit of it. You went made a sandwich. I was here the whole time. I had to get up a couple times just to make sure I wouldn't literally fall asleep. Here we go. They talked about COVID-19. Of course, they're going to talk about it. Pence is on the task force. Okay, so you would have thought that Kamala would wallop him with this. 211,000, I think that's the number we're at now. 211,000 people have reportedly died from COVID-19 related illness. And Kamala didn't really make Pence pay for it. I mean, Pence is the guy you should make pay for it almost as much as Trump, if not more. He's on the task force, supposed task force, to remediate it, to respond to it. The response task force. That's his job. I don't know what else Pence does, but this is kind of important. And to me, Kamala did not stay on his ass about the task force and what it was accomplishing. Nor did she really take him to task about things that Trump said about masks. Kamala says she did hit him with a couple things. She said, this was Pence. He said one side of the ledger wears a mask. The other side of the ledger are people without a mask. And what she was saying is that Trump was basically keeping score of his friends and people who were not his friends. So he was like intimidating Republicans to follow suit and not wear masks. And Pence's thing was, hey, we blocked China, blocking China from traveling to America, saved a lot of lives. You're not giving Trump any credit for the things he did that you know helped save lives. So that was good. And but also this was the very first question of the night. And I want you to know that Mike Pence, he also started off punching Joe Biden. He was aggressive. See, all of the talk for most of the mainstream media, the last couple of days, corporate media, was all about how dangerous Kamala Harris is going to be. Very few people talked about how good Pence is. In fact, I had to do my own digging to find out more about Pence because no one talks about Pence. I got a video on my channel about Pence. No one wants to watch. No one gives a shit about Pence. Pence did a good job tonight. He did a better job than I thought he was going to do based on the information I have, but he punched Kamala and Joe Biden first. He took the first real punch. He said that Joe Biden probably plagiarized his new idea, his plan for COVID-19, and he's really good at plagiarizing. That was a good dig, okay? Some people may not know what it means, but those of us who know that Joe Biden had to stop a campaign because of accusations and proof that he plagiarized some speeches, all right, know that he has a history of plagiarism. Okay. But no, Kamala didn't take the bait. She says whatever Trump is doing isn't working, and she remained calm. She said Trump cost us over 200,000 lives. And Pence went with the same old talking points of these people that died are in our hearts and prayers. All right. Then they switched to the Rose Garden. They start to talk a little bit more about Donald Trump's role in catching COVID-19. And Pence defended Trump, saying he wants Americans to make their own decisions. We don't want to dictate to Americans if they should have to wear masks. That's why at the Rose Garden, when they introduced Coney Barrett, people could wear a mask or not wear a mask. It was up to them. This seems stupid as hell. If you're the president or if you're any type of host of anything, you should have certain rules for people that come into your house. I don't think it made much sense. And I think Kamala missed yet another opportunity, which she really should have took them to the woodshed. What do you mean you trust people to make their own decisions? How can they make their own decisions or the best decisions if they're not giving the real information? If you're giving out misinformation or half information, then how effective are people going to be in making their own decisions? It's your responsibility as the president, as a leader, commander-in-chief, to give people all the information, not withhold information, that disables them from being able to make an informed decision. That should have been her point. But she kind of hit it, kind of didn't. She did say you respect the American people by telling the truth. That's a good point, but not as powerful, I think, as if we tied it together. Anyway, they talked about a vaccine. Pence went on the line. He sounded a lot like Trump about the vaccine. He said there should be a vaccine really soon. It's going to be great. It's going to be magical. It's going to work. Kamala said, if a vaccine is developed and Trump says we should take it, I'm not taking it. She said, but if a vaccine is developed and a doctor says we should take it, then I'll take it. And then Pence took exception to that. Whatever. Okay. It was kind of funny, actually. Then we went on to, and Pence accused Kamala of playing politics. And I'm like, hold on a second. Both of y'all play politics. This is politics. The Democrats play politics, the Republicans play politics. But Pence accuses Kamala of playing politics with people's lives. I don't get it. Like, I don't even know where that came from. But he did bring up something that a lot of people haven't talked about. He brought up the swine flu. And he said that 60 million Americans under Obama and under Biden, of course, were infected with the swine flu. And if the swine flu mortality rate was as high as coronavirus, we'd have 2 million dead Americans because that's how bad it was. Then he went on to say that Ron Klain, who now works for the Democratic Party, I think. I don't know what he does. But Ron Klain works for Joe Biden, and he said that Ron Klain made a statement that they did everything wrong, that Obama and Biden, America, did everything wrong when it came to maintaining or containing the swine flu back in 08, 09, 10, that there was nothing worse. There was no way they could do a worse job in containing the swine flu, that we dropped the ball and they got very lucky. It's only luck that the swine flu did not kill more people. So do with that as you may. Something that should be reported more gets no reporting until you get this debate, and then Mike Pence says it, and I didn't hear Kamala with a response. Now, I'm not saying that this changes everything, but I'm saying it's kind of important. That's why I tell people sometimes you need to listen to the other side to know what the other side is saying. Because it's important to have a little bit of context. America hasn't been doing that good at reacting to any type of medical emergency. We don't do good at reacting to floods and fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, forest fires. Did I say fires? We don't do anything. We are horrible at mobilizing to issues, no matter what they are. America historically does not do a good job with catastrophes. So that's Mike Pence's point, and it's a valid point. Anybody can look into it and see the history of how we do when we respond to these issues. Now, Kamala's there to hit Biden, no, Kamala's there to hit Trump, obviously. So she hit Trump about taxes and said, well, Trump's taxes, $75,000. I thought it was 75, it must be 75 million. Turns out he only paid 75,000. Right? 750, my bad. $750. It was something about that. She said I thought he was gonna say he paid 750,000. That's it. 750,000 or 75,000. Whatever it was, she made a joke. It was a joke that she thought she misheard because the number was so low. Okay? Then Pence hit her back and said, hey, Trump spent more money, paid more taxes. He's a job creator. He has spent almost 50 years in Washington. He's paid millions and millions of dollars in taxes through over his lifetime, okay? And he denies the numbers that were released and said those numbers are not accurate. Okay, Trump measures the healthy economy based on how well rich people are doing. Kamala hit him on that. He said that Trump says America's doing so great, but he's only judging it based on corporations and on stocks. He's not judging it based on working people. I thought that was a solid punch. I agree. That is largely what Trump is measuring. He's measuring how well, you always hear it, how well Wall Street's doing. Wall Street's up. No one talks about the jobs, when he talks about the job unemployment rate going down, what kind of jobs those are. Are those sustainable jobs? Are they jobs that come with benefits? Do those jobs give you 40 hours a week? A lot of them don't, Johnson. A lot of those jobs are Uber jobs. A lot of those jobs are not the jobs that you can provide for a family like you used to. Okay, so that's just the reality of the kind of jobs we have now. And if that's a problem and you don't like it, you can thank Obama and you can thank what's his name? Tom Perez, for deregulating the labor force and the labor laws to allow for jobs like Lyft and Uber and Dash and DoorDash and all of that shit to be considered real jobs when they're not real jobs. They're not jobs you can retire from. They're not jobs with 401ks. They're not jobs with real sick leave. These are not jobs you get real vacations from. What you do is tear up your car and possibly tear up your body. Definitely tear up your value in your vehicle. So anyway, Pence said any household in America, the average household in America saved $2,000 with Trump's tax cuts. And Kamala said that's not true. Okay. That's it. Okay. So I'm watching this, and I'm doing my best, guy. I'm telling you. Johnson, I'm doing my best just to stay up. I'm over there dozing a little bit. I want to talk more, but I want you to be able to hear the debate. It's not much of a debate, but I kept listening. Here we go. We get to Vice President Pence, 4,000. Kamala looks like she would have. Oh, okay. Here we go. There was a part towards the middle of this. This is a note. At the midway point of this thing, right? Pence was talking over Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris looked like she wanted to scream for the refs. To me, it was embarrassing. There was no reason she stopped talking totally and let Pence make whatever point he was making about how great Trump is on taxes. And I thought it made Kamala look a lot weaker than people have been building her up to be. Okay? They said she's going to be tough. She's going to be hard to deal with. And I'm getting a little tired of talking about how her prosecutorial prowess was going to be on full display, and I wasn't seeing it. Instead, what I saw was somebody say, I was talking, but not be forceful and keep talking. She let Pence finish stealing her time, and then she talked. And I don't know why she did that. I don't know who told her to do that. Anyway, I just thought it stuck out. I wanted to mention it. Now, there was there wanted to be a conversation. There was really no conversation on the Affordable Care Act, okay? It was brought up here and there, but never fully brought up about pre-existing conditions. I'm still waiting to hear about Trump's idea about repealing the Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, and he says he's going to take care of people with pre-existing conditions, but he never tells you how he's going to do it. That was a very important question that the moderator asked, and I'm wondering why no one made Pence answer that question. Kamala should have made him answer that question. Later in the debate, Pence forces the issue on a couple questions he wants and made Kamala look bad because he kept going back to it and she wouldn't answer the question. So Kamala missed a couple opportunities here. They're not going to report it that way in CNN, I'm pretty sure, or MSNBC, but she did, okay? Pence was doing his best to tie Kamala Harris to AOC and to the Green New Deal. And this, folks, right here was an amazing part of the show, okay? I want you to know this was amazing because it's a snooze fest, as much of a snooze fest as this was. And believe me, folks, this was a snooze fest. Bruh, if you stayed up, sis, if you stayed up for this, you a bad mofo, okay? If you hung in there, you did all right. I don't know what kind of coffee you drink or how much air did you go out in the window outside and get to stay awake, but you did it. You rolled down your window and you got the wind blowing in your face to stay up for this. Kamala Harris ate asphalt. She got curb stomped. She was curb stomped on the Green New Deal. Here's the thing. Pence said, you were a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. Now you say you don't support the Green New Deal. And Kamala's face looked like it was going to melt off her body, Johnson. Like it was going to melt off her body, and then the moderator's going to have to sweep it up, put it in a bag, and give it to her husband. Kamala's face melted, and I knew what she wanted to say. She wanted to say very simply. She wanted to look at the camera. She wanted to say, okay. Very simple. I supported the Green New Deal because I wanted to lure the gullible liberals and the gullible progressives into thinking that I cared about it. But I don't. I never believed in it, and I changed my mind. My name is Karma Chameleon. Now get off me, Pence, and go get your wife. That's what she wanted to say, Johnson. Because that's the truth. Kamala Harris is a liar. She's a shapeshifter. And I'm not saying that's not even being mean. It's what she's been doing her entire political career. Everyone knows it. It's just most people won't talk about it because they are afraid to harshly critique Kamala Harris. I can harshly critique Pence all day. Pence is a Christian fundamentalist without the fundamentals. He believes in a conversion therapy on gay people, like some shit out of the 1800s. Okay? The guy is warped out of his mind on Syrians, and he loves prosecuting people to the highest degree possible. Basically, almost your run-of-the-mill conservative. But Kamala has a lot of problems too, and one of them is she don't stand for anything. At least you know what Pence stands for. He's not going to be pro-life today and then tomorrow be like, I don't really care about the kids. Do what you got to do. No, Pence is going to be one way. You may not like it. You may think it's horrible. You may cause you to almost lose your lunch, but you know what you get. And Pence should have hit her on that. But see, they don't have Tim Black working for him because that's what I would have told him to say. But he did have somebody coaching him because he said some things later. Now, once again, Kamala should have said the truth, which is she changed her mind. Instead, she tap danced. She started throwing a lot of word salad around. She throwing croutons and bacon bits and wonton crispers and all this shit, like just throwing all the salad fixings on the table. And I'm like, my goodness gracious. Now I see why they put up the plastic barriers. Because Kamala is throwing word salad everywhere. Now I say that, and I want to be fair. I want to be fair here. Mike Pence is as boring as you would imagine him to be. He's like white church music. Mike Pence ain't just boring. He's white church music boring. You know what I'm saying? Oh. All right, okay. Now, Kamala came back. She did say something that was powerful. She hit Pence pretty good, okay? She said, Biden saved the auto industry, and Pence, you voted against it. Okay? That was good. He did say the auto industry. But Pence said, Biden, with NAFTA, caused factories to close and hundreds of thousands of jobs to go away. That was also Biden. So Pence hit her back pretty good, and he also said, Kamala is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and anyone else. And that China caused the coronavirus, and no one wants to admit it. So then they got into suckers and losers and talks about the military and all the military talk, and it became that thing, right? So that's where we went there. So I kind of zoned out at that point because they weren't really talking. They were talking about who should have killed who in the Middle East and who's doing a better job. And I'm honest, my eyes glossed over. I went and did some shock therapy to wake up. I had had a whole pot of coffee. Went and kissed Mrs. Black, put the kids to bed, came back down. They were still talking about Syria and whatever. Okay. Kamala, at this point, was noticing that she wasn't doing so good on the scorecard. She was noticing that all of the hype about her wasn't really helping her. So then she started frailing about, okay? This is what she did. She said, okay, Pence will not answer the question about pre-existing conditions. Kamala let him off the hook. I don't know why she let him off the hook. I wanted to hear what was going to happen. The moderator even said, you talked a lot about, you said you were going to roll back pre-existing conditions. You're going to give it up for the Affordable Care Act. What about pre-existing conditions? Trump said he's going to do something to help those people. We need to know what it is. And Pence tap danced. He looked like Sammy Davis Jr. The guy, he looked like Sammy Davis Jr., that dude from the Apollo, and Shirley Temple and that black dude, all at the same time. There was a lot of tap dancing up there. I didn't know Mike Pence was so agile on his feet, because he was tap dancing like hell. I was waiting for him to throw some dust on the ground. But here's the thing. Instead of Kamala sticking his ass on that, which is important, healthcare is very important. I think Kamala knows the fact that, they don't want Medicare for all. The fact that she said she supported it when she was running. Remember that? How many people remember Kamala Harris said she supported Medicare for all? See my point about her changing her stances? Don't really matter. She stands for nothing. She said that Trump has been appointing Supreme Court justices, and none of them have been black. We don't care what color those Supreme Court justices that they're appointing. The main point about the justices that Trump are appointing is that they're all conservative. So whether you are black or white, if you are a conservative judge, that's not good. Okay? Not historically. So that should be a point. But Pence can't make that point because he likes conservative judges, and he don't know how many blacks there were. All he knows is he felt comfortable playing his Lawrence Welk music. Andy Gibb. Andy Gibb's all right. But you know what I'm saying. The Partridge Family. That Gibb. Okay. All right, we're getting down to it now. Breonna Taylor. You know, at the very end of the show, guys, all my black viewers, you know what time it is, right? Yeah, they got to pretend like they care about black people issues. Yeah, and when we talk about black issues, it's never about economics. It's never about our schools. It's never about our businesses, right? It's never about our debt. It's never about our credit ratings. It's never about bank lending and loans. It's never about gentrification. It's always about crime. It's always about somebody got shot. Black people are pigeonholed into one area, and that area is always about, we ain't gonna kill you like the Republicans are. Yeah, we're not for cop police brutality, and that's the only issue. So they saved the whole race thing for Breonna Taylor. Okay, so here we go. Kamala said she started off trying to make you feel like she really cares about this. Maybe she does. I don't want to say she doesn't. I get a feeling that she doesn't, but okay. She said, I spoke to Breonna Taylor's mother, and the Breonna Taylor case was really sad. She was a beautiful young woman. She was an EMT. She became an EMT because she wanted to become a nurse. Now she'll never be able to do so. And the lady's like, okay, do you agree that she was wrongly killed? Yes, I do. Because Kamala spent so much time running out the clock, talking about things that really, what do you stand on it? Okay, so Kamala said that there has been no justice in her case. Then she went on to talk about this guy who was an American citizen who had his life choked out of him with a cop's knee on his neck, and she couldn't even remember George Floyd's name. And I'm sitting here going, ain't this a blip? How you not going to remember George Floyd's name? You had one job, Kamala, to go out there and talk about Breonna Taylor, talk about George Floyd. You know that's in your black playbook. It's right next to the Timberlands and the Tupac. She forgot. But she did mention a couple things. She said, we're going to ban chokeholds, cartoid odor over... God, what is it? The cartoid vein? Cartoid holds. That's it. Private prisons. Let me say that again. Kamala Harris said Joe Biden administration will ban chokeholds, the cartoid artery holds. That's it. Private prisons, cash bail, and decriminalize marijuana. I like those things. Those sound good. I want you to decriminalize marijuana. I want you to get rid of cash bail. Sort of like Derek Chauvin today. He didn't have cash bail. How do people know Derek Chauvin had no cash bail? The officer who killed George Floyd, you're right there talking about it, he got out on no cash bond. You didn't bring it up. Should have brought that up. Didn't bring it up. Missed opportunity. Private prisons, ban chokeholds. My thing is, guys, that's not all black people care about. We care about other stuff too. We don't want cops killing us, but these bills are killing us too. All right? This legacy of no bank loans is killing us too. Okay? So is the bad schools. That's killing us too. The dirty environment. That's killing us too. All these things are killing us. Not just cops. Not just cops. In fact, more of us are dying for lack of health care than are dying because of cops. All right. You know, it's a lot of people here tonight. I just want you to hear that. I want you to hear that. It's not that I don't care. I cover those stories. But when you say, oh, we all die from cops, more white people die from cops, everyone died. Okay. We're dying because of healthcare too. Feel better? Need to fix that as well. Okay. Now, if that didn't really stick you when Kamala missed these opportunities to really put some meat on the bone when she's talking about black issues, and the only time tonight when the word black was even mentioned, the only thing that got her off the hook was the fact that Pence is so horrible. He's such a conservative. He's such a Republican on this shit. I mean, this guy, any credibility, any credit, any grace you afford him based on being on point on certain little points there, the fact that he goes into this and he's like, he turns the conversation about Breonna Taylor into law and order similar to Donald Trump, bringing up, we need law and order and protesters and they need to go to jail. And the same old talking point. He said it better than Trump would, but it's the same thing. And why the only opportunity to speak to African Americans would you waste it going to talk about locking them up? So that's the game they play. Kamala's going to talk about bad cops. He's going to talk about locking up bad people. And that's the game they play. And it's a distraction from all the other issues and concerns that black people have. Stop letting them get away with it and stop buying into it. It's bullshit, okay? But Mike Pence scored points. And from here on out, Pence scores all the points. I don't care who you watch. I want you to know something, America. I am not a Democrat and I am not a Republican, okay? Know that, please. Can you know that? All right. You're watching the Tim Black Show. I'm neither one. I called it like I see it. If you disagree with me, it's not going to be because I'm a Democrat and all I do is vote a Democrat, okay? I'll vote Green Party too on your ass. Hell, I might not vote top of the ticket and vote down ballot this year, okay? Know that shit. But here's my point. From a person who thinks Mike Pence is creepy, who probably doesn't agree with anything that Pence has said, really, on a ethical level, right? Not really. But he scored. He pitched a shutout the rest of the game. It was a shutout. It was nothing. Kamala wasn't even on the stage anymore. He reached into her chest and took her heart away. And then he ate it, put some mayonnaise on it, and took another bite. And said, somebody slide me a glass of wine. Wife, could you please get me a glass of wine, darling? And he finished off her heart. And he did it in a way without raising his voice, without being rude or crude. He did it counterpunching. He said, I'm surprised to hear that you, a prosecutor, doesn't trust our justice system. Ow! Okay? All right? It kind of makes sense, don't it? You mean to tell me you hate the NBA after you done spent 20 years playing in the NBA? You mean to tell me you're going to say, not only playing in the NBA, you were an official in the NBA. Now you're going to tell me that the game of basketball is corrupt, But you were a referee the whole time, and you didn't say it was corrupt while you were a referee? You didn't call out all the corruption of the NBA while you were actually a part of the NBA as a referee? I mean, I'm trying to give you an analogy here. So Mike Pence says, you say that you were a prosecutor, you were an attorney general, and you don't trust that the jury came back with a verdict based in our justice system? No response. Okay? Kamala had no comeback. Then he went on to say about George Floyd that there needs to be justice in that case. He said he brought up a woman whose salon was burned down. That's when he talked about looters and protesters burning down people's ish. Okay? But then he hit Kamala Harris on some other stuff. He kept hitting her. He said prison reform. Criminal justice reform. Tim Scott, which is the only black senator they can bring up. Tim Scott introduces a bill and you filibustered it. And it was on criminal justice reform. Why haven't you been leading the march on criminal justice reform since you now talk like you are a criminal justice warrior? I didn't hear her respond. She instead went to hitting Trump. And she said, Donald Trump, you can't lecture me. You can't lecture me. Your boss, President Trump, said that he would not denounce white supremacy. He told them to stand back and to stand by. And then, guys, as I'm thinking, okay, Kamala's on a comeback. She's throwing a couple punches now. She took one on the chin, but she's going to make this interesting. Pence then delivered the setup shot that leads to the knockout blow. He said, Kamala Harris, you're the reason why people can't stand the media. You remind me why people hate the media, because the media selectively edits out what I say and what Donald Trump says. Donald Trump and I have condemned white supremacy, neo-Nazis, and hate groups several times, both of us. You edit it and then you tell the world that we don't, or that we support it. Then he went on to say how Trump's daughter is Jewish and Ashton Kutcher is Jewish. What's his name? The other guy, Jared Kutcher. Jared. Ashton. The Kutch man is Jewish. Okay. And it was like, all of a sudden, she had no words. Kamala Harris ran out of words, Johnson. I don't know what happened. In the earlier word salads, all her words were in those salads, and those salads were gone. She had no more words to throw at Pence. But then she got lazy. This is what she did. She got lazy, and she started grandstanding. She started grandstanding. Well, I'm the only one up here who's prosecuted. Uh-oh. She said, I'm the only one up here who's ever prosecuted anyone. I'm the only one on this stage today who has prosecuted rapists and shooters and molesters and that. Okay? And I'm thinking, while she's saying that, this sounds a lot like a canned line from the debate when she was on stage during the primaries. Wouldn't it be funny if it ended the same way? I repeat, Kamala Harris, word for word, she said, I'm the only one on this stage today that has prosecuted rapists. Some of you may remember this from the debates. Rapists and killers, child molesters, kidnappers. Remember that? Pence did not go right away. I will give Pence this, and I said I don't agree. I got to keep saying it because there's going to be people that try to take me out of context. Pence is not my guy. Conversely, Kamala Harris is not my woman. Okay? Know that shit. And I didn't expect this. Pence was calm. He saw an opening. He didn't take it right away. He didn't run over there and do it. He waited. He waited. Revenge is a dish sell cold. What's it? Revenge is a dish best served cold. So are good lines. Good lines are like a dish, or like revenge, and they're best served cold. So, two things here. He said, Kamala Harris, I'm glad you brought up. Let me do this again because I might have to do this for a video. Mike Pence looked into the camera. He looked into the camera and he said, Kamala Harris, I'm glad you brought up your prosecutorial record. But he didn't say it like that. That's kind of rushed. He said, Kamala, I'm glad you brought up your prosecutorial record. As your time as prosecutor, under your tenure as prosecutor, you were 19 times more likely to prosecute black people for the crime of drug possession. And you know that meme when the rapper goes, oh man, and it's like, oh man, and like, I'm telling you. Let me try again. You know, Kamala, I'm glad you brought up your record about prosecutorial record. Kamala, I'm very glad you brought up your prosecutorial record. Because during your tenure as prosecutor, lead prosecutor, you incarcerated, you were 19 more times, black people were 19 times more likely to be prosecuted for simple drug possession. Boom! And the ball went out the gym. Johnson. Shaq brought down the rim, the back, the whole shit, everything. He slammed the quarterback threw the bomb. The bomb went out the stadium. All I'm trying to tell you is everybody jumped up and said Hercules on that. That was, folks, that was quintessentially a takedown, folks. That's a roundhouse kick footprint right here. Footprint size 15 right here on your chest. Bam! Just everything. Wind gone. Like a balloon when the wind blew out of the chest. I'm trying to tell you, people are like, Kamala is amazing. She's a great prosecutor. She's going to prosecute the case. She got her ass whipped on that question. And you know what? No comeback. She is mad. And you know how I know it hurt her? The fake laugh. And all she could think of, she could see one thing. She saw one thing in her brain. Only one image. Tulsi mother effing Gabbard. That's what she saw. She saw Tulsi Gabbard. I sent out a tweet. I said, kill the messenger, shoot the messenger if you must, but Mike Pence just Tulsi Gabbard Kamala. And it happened right here, right now. You won't hear them talk about it much. I'm trying to tell you, but know this. Greg Gutfield, the guy, something talks and whatever, and that weird dude at the funny name, and the guy with the bad face. Everybody on Fox, Sean Hannity, and and Candace Owens is laughing. I can hear Candace. I'm in Maryland. I swear I heard Candace laugh. I swear I thought I could hear her ass. I could hear her laugh in the distance. Her and that horrible basketball dude, the sports dude, Whitlock. I could hear Candace Owens and Jason Whitlock laughing their asses off. All right. And you would have thought it was over, right? I mean, somebody need to call the cops on Pence at this point because this is now child abuse. Yes, this is child abuse. This is where experience is valuable and nothing else matters. This is Mike Pence, an experienced in these situations. He's been here before. He's demonstrating how it's done. He's putting on what Michael Jordan would call a clinic on how to handle He's not flustered. He's not upset. He's not raising his voice. He's not calling for referee. Hey, referee, you can't believe it. She punched me in the head. She kicked dirt on me. Please do something. He's doing none of that, okay? None of it. He's just right here. And I don't like the guy. It's just the truth. This is what happened. This is what happened. And I thought it was over. I was expecting someone to run in and whisper in Mike Pence's ear, stop beating the lady in front of the company. Just cut it out. That's enough. You got the round. And then it happened again. It happened again, guys. Kamala Harris, you could tell she was upset. She was a little bit off her game. It was showing. She wasn't performing well. In the last 15 minutes, he owned her. He owned her. She had a price tag. He had the receipt. He owned her. And she was a little pissed off. She wanted some get back. I understand it. I feel it. I know where you're coming from. When somebody whoops your ass, you want some get back. She walked into this punch like she did on the runway with the Timberland. She walks into this shit. Folks, she walked into this. She said, Donald Trump is suppressing the vote. This is our Constitution and our democracy, and let's be very, very clear. He's suppressing the vote. Oh! Mike Pence didn't sweat, didn't raise his voice, just like... And I find it hilarious that Kamala Harris says that Donald Trump's trying to suppress the vote to steal the election. Well, the Democrats have spent the last 3 years trying to overturn the last one. Booyah! 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 And the crowd roared, ah! No! Yes! Ah! Mama! Help! Oh! Everything just went crazy. The whole room went black. There's one black man with a blunt in the back. That was a good one, boy, right there. That's a good one. Yeah, that was good right there. You got our ass right there, Johnson. Yo, I know you're going to watch a lot of shows. You probably are going to watch a lot of wrap-ups. Kamala Harris got bodied tonight. And it's, I'm not saying it changed the race, but this idea that Biden, like that Kamala was going to help the ticket, kind of went out the window. She underperformed. See, Chuck Todd, when you kiss all that ass, you set someone up to be unable to reach the bar. Instead of treating Kamala Harris like someone who's never been on the world stage to this extent, instead of treating her like someone who's never been a vice president or been in a debate against a vice president, you put all this pressure on this woman. And I know I'm not trying to make excuses, guy. I'm not trying to what I'm saying is, she's really not that good, Johnson. She's just not. She is. She's Dwight Howard, okay? She's Dwight Howard. But you've been billing her out like she's Shaq. She is not Shaq. All right? She's not Tim Duncan. She's Dwight Howard, okay? You, not just you, Chuck Todd, but a lot of you, Joy Reid, all of y'all have been billing her out as she's a man. And the whole time you're talking, she's like, who they talking about? Oh, me? Oh, yeah, me, yeah. Ooh, I hope I'm not good. Because she knows she's not. And what happens? You set her up to be destroyed. Now, you won't report it that way. You're going to mitigate. You're going to do damage control. You're going to spin it. You're going to wax poetic, change the narrative. You're going to sing a different song. The tape don't lie. The only reason why you're going to get away with doing that is that most people are not going to go watch this shit. But if they watched it and they were really unbiased, reporting what they saw, taking time, taking 3 pages of studious notes like I did, copious amounts of notes, then they would come up to the same conclusion that I come up with. Everyone watching, I want you to know, this is the Tim Black Show. We do this shit. We don't play the game of Democrat versus Republican when it comes to politics. We call it like we see it. All right? Kamala Harris was destroyed tonight. I don't even blame her. She's just not that. She has her record. It sucks. What do you say? She prosecuted the man who was innocent. Pence could have went further. He was nice to her. He could have went further. But then would be pummeling. Then it would be child abuse on a level where Department of Human Services might come get him. Okay? I just wanted to be clear. Subscribe to this channel. No, seriously, subscribe to this channel. Okay, my verdict for the show is very clear. I don't care who else does a show tomorrow. Everyone's going to do a show tomorrow. Some of them are going to watch my shit and then do their thing. I know what you do. Know this, guys. I didn't watch anybody's wrap up. I went right after watching it. You watched it if you watched it here. I've been streaming tonight for 4 hours. I don't know what it is. Crazy amount. Here's the thing. This is real. I'm not saying that this won the election for either side. Vice presidential debates barely moved the needle. But this is a different year. Everyone's been telling you, this election is special. This election is different. We're at the racial reckoning. We're at the precipice of a civil war. All these things is what people say. Okay? If that's the case, and we have 2, what will be the oldest president, either elected or re-elected in the history of this country. And then we got 2 vice presidential. We got a vice president and a vice presidential running mate. I'm telling you, unlike most elections, this matters. It matters this time. And if you're judging based just on the vice presidents, you don't like Pence's qualities, you don't like his policies, you don't like, yes, that's it, you don't like Pence's policies, but you don't like Kamala's qualities. And that's real talk. And you are not impressed. In fact, the more that they big this up and the more that they distort the truth and they make it seem like Kamala had such a great night because they pick a couple of sound bites out and they leave out the ones where she got destroyed, all you do is further fan the flames that they say they don't want, which is division, anger, frustration. Okay? I'm not happy or sad. Okay? I'm stunned. I expected more from Kamala, less from Pence. What I got was definitely the best of the year, but it's only been 2. One of the best debate performances of the year, counting all of the debates. It's really up there. Okay, we've had 25 debates. I don't know how many we had. We had a lot of debates. And I know this is different as one-on-one, as vice presidential. But I'm just telling you, it's one of the better debates. Not because of Kamala, but because of how well Pence weathered the storm and how he delivered these punches. And he was not rushing it. He was not off-putting. I don't agree with his politics. I don't agree that you need to we talk about Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and then we talk about protesters. He's playing to the base. That's all he's doing. But at the end of the day, Kamala disappointed. And she disappointed big time. And if Joe Biden was relying on Kamala to do anything for him, he missed that opportunity. Kamala did not do anything to help him tonight. In fact, she hurt him tonight. I'm not saying it was a lot. I'm not saying it's enough to overturn an election. But when they rolled the tape, Team Biden, Harris, they lost some points tonight.